All right, good evening and welcome. If you'll please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you and welcome to our regular Board of Directors meeting this evening. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order and adopt this evening's agenda.
I move for adoption of the agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Perfect. Is there, one of the things we like to do at our school board meetings is recognize any scouts in the audience. Are there any scouts here with us this evening? No? Okay. All right, so we will move on to special recognition. We have a couple of very special recognitions this evening. The first one is School Nurse Appreciation. And I think that there are several folks that are representing the school nurses tonight. If you want to come up to the podium. Director Perkins is going to read a resolution.
State of Washington Proclamation. Whereas students are the future, and by investing in them today, we are ensuring our world for tomorrow. And whereas families deserve to feel confident that their children will be cared for when they are at school, and that all students have a right to have their physical and mental health needs safely met while in the school setting. And whereas school nurses have served a critical role in improving public health and in ensuring students' academic success for more than 100 years, and act as liaisons to the school community, families, and healthcare providers on behalf of children's health by promoting wellness and improving health outcomes for our nation's children. And whereas school nurses address the home and community factors, that is the social determinants that impact students' health, and support the health and educational success of children and youth by providing access to care when children's cognitive development is at its peak. And whereas school nurses are professional nurses that advance the well-being, academic success, and lifelong achievements of all students by serving on the front lines and providing a critical safety net for our nation's most fragile children. And whereas school nurses are members of school-based teams, such as school health services, 504, IEP, disaster and emergency planning, to address the school population, and school understand the link between health and learning, and are in a position to make a positive difference for children every day. And now therefore, I, Jay Inslee, Governor of the State of Washington, do hereby proclaim May 8th, 2019, as School Nurse Day in Washington. And I encourage all people in our state to join me in this special observance. Signed, 19th day of April, 2019, Governor Jay Inslee.
So you have had a busy school year and been dealing with quite a bit. In fact, I believe that you met Governor Jay Inslee the other day.
I did. I had the nice opportunity to help celebrate the signing of the House Bill 1638, and Victoria was in the audience as well. So it was a special day for me, for sure, highlight of my career to be involved in that. So
You did you just did an excellent job speaking for the school district in talking about the impacts of the effects of the event and just how that legislation will help us. So thank you for representing us so well. It was really neat.
thank you for those nice words. I just want to say, can I say a little something?
Of course.
I just have a little tidbit to share with you. Can you hear me okay? The practice of school nursing began in 1902 when a school nurse was hired to reduce absenteeism working with students and families regarding healthcare needs related to communicable disease. This year we experienced something historical in our district, in our community, in our state, and this was measles. The event involved 6 schools, with one school having a second exposure. We excluded 290 students. We had an outbreak timeline of January 16th through March 8th, And the outbreak in our county was officially considered over on April 29th after a consecutive 6 weeks without a confirmed case. So it went on for almost 3 months. All of our school nurses were impacted by the outbreak. They fielded questions from staff, from parents. We had teachers that had questions, we had students that had questions, we had community members that were coming in to visit schools having questions. This impact went way beyond just the students. All the vendors that came in, all of our community partners were affected by this. Tonight I want to recognize our school nurses that were directly involved that had outbreaks at their school. So I'd like to call them up and have them join me here at the podium. Sandra Johnson, school nurse at Image. She had the privilege of having an outbreak twice at Image. So because it was at Image first, she loved it so much she wanted to do it again. So she got the luxury of going through it twice. Nancy Lowry, school nurse at Hearthwood and Orchards, also had the privilege because 2 of her 3 schools were affected, so she got to go through that twice. Debbie Schaub, school nurse at Evergreen High School. Debbie Fowler, school nurse at Pacific. And Sally Yearout, school nurse at Burton. And I'm really pleased that they all showed up today to be recognized. And again, I want to thank you for coming on Friday to support me as I spoke to the audience. I was really nervous. Public speaking is not my thing, as you know. I was given commemorative pens from the signing, so I'd like to give you each one, and offer my nurses here each one too. A special pen. So this is Governor Inslee's pen that he signs the bills. You're welcome. And I have one for my nurses. Thank you so much for recognizing school nurses this week.
Thank you. Thank you.
Holly, come on back, this is for you.
Thank you so much.
Did anyone else from the board have any comments to make, or?
My child is actually in the preschool program on Image, so on Image's property. So I had the pleasure of starting it with the first round. He wasn't quite 5, so hadn't had his second booster. So we were told we couldn't go back until he got it. So we were at the doctor the next day getting it early. But the amount of students that were affected, the amount of class time that the students missed. It was a conversation that we had at one of our school improvement conferences, that there were so many kids that missed so many days, and I know that the staff and the educators are trying to figure out ways to help them make up some of those days. And it's not just now that it's over, it's something that we're still battling with to make sure that the students are getting those days that they missed. So it's going to be an ongoing thing, I think, for still a little while. So thank you guys for all of your hard work. That was an incredible experience all the way around, I think.
Our household got a letter. My son's at Pacific, and actually ended up in a phone conversation. Was it Sandra Johnson at Pacific?
No, Debbie Fowler.
Debbie. Sorry.
That's okay.
Hey, when we had the conversation, her responses were so clear and explanatory, and I really appreciated that. Cured measles. Congratulations. I just really, it was so, I guess, comforting to see how professionally it was run. I think Image had students, how many students missed like an entire trimester out of this? For sure. There were some students who just couldn't come to school for weeks and weeks and weeks, and so it's a big deal. So personally very glad that the bill was passed, and I know there was a lot of broad bipartisan support for it. Thank you.
Okay, next is teacher appreciation. So Bill, are you coming up for that?
Yes.
Okay.
That's fine.
And Director Gronwald is going to read the proclamation.
Whereas a strong, effective system of free public school education for all children and youth is essential to our democratic system of government, and whereas the United States has made considerable progress in the social, technological, I can't talk tonight apparently, and scientific fields due to our system of free and universal public education, and whereas much of this progress can be attributed to the qualified and dedicated teachers entrusted with the educational development of our children. And whereas teachers provide opportunities for students to connect with the world around them, develop basic skills for success in life and work, and experience the realization of high expectations and the fulfillment of steps toward achievable goals. And whereas teachers should be accorded high public esteem, reflecting the value placed on their skills and abilities, and the importance of public education. And whereas it is appropriate that teachers be recognized for their dedication and commitment to educating their students. Now therefore, I, Jay Inslee, Governor of the State of Washington, do hereby proclaim May 6th through 10th, 2019 as Teacher Appreciation Week, and May 7th, 2019 as Teacher Appreciation Day in Washington, and I encourage all people in our state to join me in this special observance. Signed the 17th day of April 2019, Governor Jay Inslee.
Thank you. I accept this on behalf of the teachers of the Evergreen School District, and I accept it in the goodwill and spirit that it was given to us. I appreciate this. This means a big deal that we are appreciated amongst our school board. Thank you.
Well, it obviously goes without saying that, you know, we wouldn't have schools if we didn't have teachers, and we have some of the best teachers out there in the state, I believe. And so I'm happy that so many of you were able to come tonight and receive this recognition. So I like it when you're here when we are all in a happy mood and not in an unhappy mood. But no, I do appreciate that you're here, and I appreciate the hard work that you know, it's a lot of work to be a teacher, and it seems like in the number of years that I've been on the board, the work has changed and has become more challenging for our people, and the world has become a harder place for all of us, for our children, and so you're the front line with our kids and seeing what difficulties and the difficult situations they come from, and it's important that you're there listening and caring, and we know that, and so I appreciate you every day.
I just want to add, one of the things I love about Teacher Appreciation Week is all of the videos and comments that go out on like social media where kids and students are appreciating their teachers, because I think that's really what it's about, is that everybody can reflect back and look at their favorite teacher or someone that made a difference. And so it's really fun to see our students talking about their favorite teachers during this time. Even Rob the other day posted something about an experience he had in our district, what, 30 some years ago?
30-some years ago, 6th grade, Gwen Williams, Marion Elementary School. She found a way to bring computers into an elementary school for kids to try out in 1981.
Wow.
So they were big computers, but I was... one of you was sizing the computers. It was just about, you know, like this, and the little discs were about this. Like, yeah, anyway. Since the guy who brought him in was my dad, he worked at ADP on computer services. He taught the class, and she taught the class, and I got to be the star for it. And that was pretty rare, because I wasn't a popular kid in the 6th grade. It was kind of a rough year for me, and I never forgot that. Never forgot that. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, that was a good story.
Go ahead, Rich.
I was gonna say, I think like Rob and probably like the others, I have so many memories as a kid of the teachers. I don't remember my principals, I don't remember my school board directors, but I have memories of certain teachers who impacted me. And as a parent, I am most grateful for the teachers of my daughters, and for not just the hard work that they give every day, but for the love that they give my child, my daughters every day, and that's what shapes my children, that's what shapes the children in our community, and that's the love and dedication and hard work that you guys give. And as a school board director and a member of our community, I am most grateful for all those extra hours that you put in, and I hope that you guys do feel are really, truly grateful how much we do appreciate all the hard work that you give and the extra hours, and that this is not just a job for you guys, and we know that, and we do appreciate everything that you give, and we are really, truly appreciative, and hope that your schools showed you last week how appreciative they are of you. Thank you.
I think back to growing up and always thinking about all those people that worked in the business office that I looked up to. I'm joking. I'm just joking. No, what I would say about the teachers and the nurses as well, I grew up in a family with a teacher that was a father, and so every day I got to see firsthand when he came home, he'd sit at the kitchen table and correct papers and tell us the stories about what had happened in school that day with the students, and it was really enjoyable. I mean, I was lucky to grow up. My mom worked in a school as well, so I've been around. I've been around it my whole life. I'm lucky enough to have graduated from Vancouver School District, and then my older kids, graduated from Evergreen, from Union High School, both of them. And it's nice when I get an opportunity to go back and visit the schools and see the teachers that actually taught my kids, because they had such great experiences. So fortunately, I haven't had to have a lot of interaction personally with the nurses. I was really happy to see a couple nurses at the cultural parade last Friday. Make sure they were there helping the kids that might have had any trouble with the weather. But we do. We have a great staff. It's a great district. I appreciate everything everyone does. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next on our agenda is board consent agenda. We'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the board consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great. All right, and then the next is the superintendent consent agenda. Again, we'll entertain a motion.
We accept the superintendent consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Thank you. All right, next is our superintendent report. For this, we will turn it over to Superintendent Merlino.
Thank you. What I would start with is we have not had a board meeting since the legislature completed their session on the 28th. There has been some reporting on what occurred in the meeting or in the session, at the end of the session. One of the things I want to make real clear is that we all should give a large thank you to Senator Annette Cleveland, who used the specific position she was in at the end of the session to cast the final vote to pass the levy bill. But in casting that final vote to pass the levy bill, she was able to leverage that vote and provide some additional funds to Southwest Washington, to both Vancouver and Evergreen School District. So that was significant, very significant. I know I spoke directly with her and thanked her for that, and I think some of you all have done that as well. For Evergreen, originally the number that they had talked about was around $7 million that was going to come back to Evergreen and Vancouver. When you kind of get right down to it, it's about a little over $6 million, but $6 million is better than the zero that we were going to receive before she took advantage of her position. When we started this budget process and the kind of the financial difficulties that we were looking at, the first thing I would say is to the board is to say thank you, because when I got put into this position, we all agreed together and you allowed me to engage the community and engage the staff, kind of throw out some ideas around reductions when we thought the number was going to be at a number between $15 and $18 million. And we engaged the community. We talked with over 500 folks, had 4 forums. It was great. I appreciate your leadership. In that, we also shared that the next step was going to be to see what happened with the legislative session, and then coming out of the legislative session, what type of new revenue did we have to help offset the shortfall, and then follow a process to talk about what were the things we would add back at that point if that were the case. Well, we were fortunate that with Senator Cleveland's efforts, the levy bill helps the district a little. We had run a levy last February. Maybe the fact that they passed this bill allows you to collect over $1.50. We had run our levy with the idea we'd be right at around $1.50, but we had asked for a little more than that just to make sure we would be at that point. We will be able to collect a little bit of extra money, I think maybe about $1.5 million next year from our local levy. That helps with this. The way that the levy, the way that the new money comes to us is through this levy equalization process, which they gave us one-time money. It's not ongoing, but the fact that we're getting it helps the situation. We get about a little over $6 million that's paid out to us over a 2-year period, 1920 and 2021. That's about $4 million that we get next year that we would not have anticipated. And then finally, we got a little bit of an increase in special ed as well. So it's approximately $6 million or thereabouts total when you add it up. And we'll talk more about this in future meetings as we continue to work on the budget. But at that point, we went back and spoke with principals again and started looking at the list of items that we had originally put out. One thing that the board, as part of the process, had talked about the 4 priority areas that we need to consider. The first being student programs. We need to make sure that we're making sure money's going back to student programs. Professional development is an important thing for us. Safety and security of our students and our staff, and then finally maintaining our buildings. So those were the 4 main things. We've gone through a process where we've talked to principals and kind of revised that. Next Monday we will come out with that. The one thing that I want to make sure that everybody in the room understands is that the district, we say it all the time that 80% of the budget is people. When we look at a budget that we build, with that in mind, our efforts are to make recommendations that we're adding back things that support the 4 priority areas, but they are related to people. They're not things. We're not interested in bringing back things. We're interested in trying to protect people's jobs as much as we possibly can. And the one thing that I would mention is in the original list that we had somewhere around, I think, 50 positions that were on the original optimization of certificated staff. So there are different things happening with certificated staff. One is that enrollment, we've talked about it, there's an enrollment decline. And that number of staff that spins off of the enrollment, our formulas every year, if we decline 100 kids, if we decline 20 kids or 1,000 kids, our formulas tell us how many positions we should have. The difference this year has been that we had to look at trying to push the class size numbers closer to the contract limits because we felt like this number was so large. I think that when we come back, the recommendation would be that the reductions for the teaching staff within the optimization would be more along the lines like other years where we're just looking at what is enrollment doing to us, not what are we trying to do. So there will be a significant reduction in the number of positions recommended to be reduced on the teacher side. We very clearly heard a lot at those forums around the media assistants, what happens in the media centers, around the instructional coaches, what's happening, the print center. And I say it kind of jokingly, but I mean, the fact that you all here, it's not only Teacher Appreciation Week, but you are here supporting the people that got letters this last week and got notified last week, and that's exactly what you should be doing. And it's good that you're here. And I just want you to know that as we present budgets, it's something that we understand and we are on the same page. We're trying to protect protect jobs as much as you're trying to protect jobs. Across the board, when you went to those forums, ultimately, like you're advocating here, people advocated at those meetings, and they should. And the thing that I always walk away from those meetings is with the idea that what we've learned today is that we can cut nothing. And of course, we still have to make reductions, but that's the purpose of advocacy, is being there to try to support your programs and your peers and your friends. And so I just want everybody to understand that when we come out next week, that's exactly the way we viewed this, and the recommendations. I think definitely we're looking at protecting the board's priorities and protecting people, and people are more important than in this district. We'll talk more next Monday, and at the workshop we'll have a little bit more information about that, about the process, but I just want to make sure everybody knows, from my perspective, and I think from the board's perspective, we understand why people are here, and you should be here, and that's, thank you. The other things I would mention really quickly were last week the culture parade on Friday, which was awesome. I mean, it's another reason that what I said that day was thank you to the teachers that helped the students prepare these posters through the lessons that they had done throughout the weeks leading up. I was fortunate to go to Sifton and visit Jen Moe working with their 5th grade students before they went to Olympia on a field trip, which is another thing that potentially would be reduced that we need to try to protect. So that was great to see how she was supporting that. But you had kids there working on their posters. Thank the kids. For me, it was just a great event because I grew up in Vancouver, and I spent my young life with my dad, who was a history teacher at the fort. At the time, I don't know that I thought it was that awesome to be at the fort, but looking back on it, I was lucky to be there, and so that was a great event, a great opportunity. It's not often that you get to speak after the governor, no, but I think people listen to me a little more than and also, I would just mention really quickly, last week I was able to meet with Eric Holmes at the City of Vancouver, talk about how they can help us with the bond. Had a good conversation with them around a potential complex that we might build in this area for the community and for the district. And then also with David Nierenberg, who's been around the district a long time, been very supportive of the district and connected, and very interested in helping us rebuild relationships within the community, and we will do that as well. So it's been a good week. That's all I have. Is that enough? I can go another, I usually talk 22 minutes.
That's good stuff.
All right, thank you.
All right, next is board comments. Anybody have anything they want to bring up?
I'll be happy to share a few things. Well, like Mike said, culture parade. I came at the tail end, I'm not going to lie, did not walk the parade because I came from being with Holly at the signing of the measles, the immunization bill, but it is always so fun to see those little guys with all their outfits and posters and everything, and it was such a beautiful day. It was fun to see everybody, and then to hear the mayor talk about underpants. They've got the kids going, and
Maybe a little more context.
she had an Irish poem in it, and she used to be a teacher, and she knows 3rd graders like
Yes.
You
those
should
kinds
have
of
wrote or
things.
modified that
Yeah.
poem.
Yeah, she did, but
It was a poem.
it was cute. So that was a fun day. I was so intrigued. I got to go with Mike to the 2 school visits last week. One to Sifton and one to Marion. At Sifton, I got to participate with the kids in the hardest project to discover things about the legislature and, you know, the different powers that be, and it all involved codes and lights that shine on words that disappear, and all kinds of things, and I was at a table with some really like wiggly little boys but they were so smart and so clever, and they knew a lot about how government works. I was very impressed. But to me, it was just so engaging, and they really knew their stuff, and there wasn't a kid in the room that wasn't busy trying to figure this all out and knowing the answers. I know they were totally ready to go on their field trip the next day to the state capitol, so it was pretty impressive. And then at Marion, just seeing how our little kindergartners and stuff are learning English and understanding our language and all of that. It was those were two good visits, and it was really interesting to see the work that's done with our kids. And then along with the rest of the board, we went to Region 6 meeting with all of our fellow board members from around Southwest Washington, and that's always interesting to hear what's going on. And our state will have the very first kind of professional development totally geared towards board members that, how would you describe it, Rob? I mean, it's a very comprehensive professional development kind of.
Pretty exciting, because it takes time to get up to speed, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Understanding just how complex school finance and contracts. I mean, I actually brought it with me. We were, WASDA prepared a bargaining manual for school directors. What is your role? Where do you fit in? What do you need to do at each time of the year to make sure that everybody's supported properly? And that feeds into that education piece that will eventually become training for us, reminders for us that goes beyond the required open records training that we all get. Neat progress. They need to find $1.5 million, but they've got some ideas about that.
But it's nice, because it covers all aspects of being on a board, and it's pretty comprehensive in the different areas. So I thought that was really a kind of a cool thing, and it'll be the first in the nation. So that's kind of an interesting thing. So we'll be the guinea pigs, I guess. Let's see here. I had the pleasure of sitting next to Senator Cleveland at a women's leadership lecture series. And so I was able to personally thank her. It was the very next day, and thank her for her leadership role on several things, several of the bills that went through, and obviously the extra money that she was sending our way. And she said the fight is not over, but that's just the first step, and I was really thrilled to hear her say that. And that lecture series, I was really keen on, they were featuring two young women that now have flourishing businesses and careers in the Vancouver area that grew up in Vancouver. One is now the chief pilot for Amazon, and one has started a tech company here, but both started in our area, and it's exciting to see these younger women, probably about your age, young lady, doing great things and coming up in the world. And I want to start getting them more involved in our schools and have them talk to our kids about the potential that's out there, and you don't have to go far, far away to be leaders and be the next round, the next group of Nurembergs or whatever. So yeah, it was interesting. And then I think the last thing, and every year when we go to the community salutes our seniors that are going to be graduating, going into the military, it's always such a touching event to see. And there was a large group. Was it about 150? 120. Yeah, it was just really moving to see the students that are going to be, serving our nation, and
goes me. So that was my feeling. We haven't been
been a while
together for a while. It's like
Almost a month, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a list just about that size. Maybe I should talk quicker.
Sorry.
Yeah. I appreciate, once again, pen for the bill signing. This is the pen. They're identical. They must make them by the dozen. This is the pen for the signing of House Bill 1599. House Bill 1599 was the bill that was advanced in the legislature to change the graduation requirements for seniors, for all high school students, from a requirement to pass a one-time, high-stakes, problematic test in order to get a certificate of academic achievement and move on to graduation. That's been replaced in law now with pathways, which entities throughout the state have been talking about for years, ever since slightly before, I think the governor took a task force to Switzerland to see how they did their education system and came back really excited. We can't use the Swiss system, but this is a really good first step to advancing towards something that replaces a you can't graduate unless with here's 6 or 7 different ways that you can graduate, and oh, by the way, when you're finished, you're going to be on a pathway into something that resembles a career or a college path. The bill was proposed by Monica Stonia. It was co-sponsored by Paul Harris of the Southwest Washington. The Southwest Washington contingent was very strong. There were people throughout our area who really pushed for this, business leaders, school leaders, and I got to take the stories of students from Evergreen High School, from Legacy High School, and other places, alongside the numbers, and contribute that to the advocacy and the debate that surrounded that bill. It passed in a bipartisan manner. And then the district sent me to the bill signing. So now I have this pen. I just really appreciate all the voices that finally came together to say this is the right thing to do because it's the right thing to do. So that was a good Tuesday. While you guys were at the community salutes, I think that was the one that I couldn't attend because I had a commitment at Evergreen High School with some CTE classes. They were doing a showcase on technology and futurism. And there were students exhibiting on their ideas about what the future could hold. What are our smartphones for? Playing a lot of what if. One of the sections of that class is taught by Sophia Lee, and I was told later on, Ms. Lee is the one who invited me to come talk to students, and that's how I got connected with the event, was talking to students about technology in terms of my work as a software developer. She went to High Tech High, so she was bringing their model into Evergreen High School for those students to experience, and they just ran with it. It was a beautiful event to see. I also got to see this CTE showcase. I met the state president of FBLA this year, Ashley Lynn, from Union High School. I wanted to mention her and congratulate her for achieving that as a sophomore. So we had a sophomore at Union High School that holds state office in Career and Technical Service Organization, come right from our place. I got a chance to take a look at, separately, the 49th Street Academy, our day treatment center. And I looked at all the classrooms. It was one of the best experiences of my month because partway through it, this 9-10-year-old boy comes bolting out of his classroom, and they just kind of stared and said, "Look, here's Mr. Perkins. Why don't you show him the school?" So my tour guide was one of the students at the 49th Street Academy, and he was so excited to show me the occupational therapy room. Here are the places where we can go to be calm. Here's my classroom. Here's the other classroom. There are the high school. Just the whole thing led by a 10-year-old with interest. I won't give his name because that's a privacy issue, but it was really nice to spend time with him that way and to learn about our day treatment facility and how students are learning there. And they do their best to take care of them. A lot of paraeducators around these kids. The they were teaching science, reading, learning, bringing them along, just like you do in the basic ed environment or in the Excel environment. Same curriculum. So I appreciate that. We had the SIFT and groundbreaking. Somebody's going to talk about that. I really appreciate personally Annette and Monica and Paul and all of the legislators. Just have to say that one final time because a lot of policy gains were made this year for kids. And it was time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Rob has done a tremendous amount of work going back and forth to Olympia and working with the WASDA because he sits on the Region 6 legislative.
Oh yeah, sitting in Senator Cleveland's office, she took furious notes when we were talking to her about funding shortages, and so I think our visit was one of the seeds of the decision. The situation was so much worse for small districts that I basically got to sit back and watch them talk about how much worse it was, and it accrued a benefit to everybody.
So thank you for your work on that. Jenny, anything?
Yeah, so Rob quickly made mention to the SIFT and groundbreaking. So we were all almost, gosh, it's almost been a month now, hasn't it?
Yeah.
3 weeks. We were all in attendance for the groundbreaking. So we're starting construction there. I think we're still out bidding, if I'm not mistaken, but that will begin. So that was really exciting to listen to. They had student representatives get up and speak about the school. The principal spoke about all the things she won't miss in the school, and actually got a little teary-eyed. So it was an amazing experience, and so excited to watch all the students, their excitement with getting the new school and using the shovels to get a bunch of dirt and playing in it. And then later that evening was their 60th anniversary party, so we returned for that and got some cake, and they had a big barbecue, and it was really great to interact with everybody and to kind of be there for this big occasion. One of the other things that we recently did was, I think 4 of us played on the Hoopsters. So we had our Hoopsters game against the Harlem Wizards. We are all still standing, so we did survive. We got a little beat up, but I think we recovered greatly. We did not win.
It was only like 2 points or so, right?
We were close.
Very close game.
It was a very close game. But that's always a lot of fun, and that is a charity event for a couple of the schools and the foundation in our area, and so that's always a great experience. So yeah, I believe that's all I got.
They carried you around the room.
They did carry me around the room. Actually, they
jumped over you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think I was like, I don't know, I think I was the shortest one in the building. So I, at one point, was told they were going to pick me up, but was not told he was going to run off the court with me. So I was a little shocked.
You're a good sport.
Really good sport.
Rachel?
I still haven't listened to the color commentary from Superintendent Merlino.
I don't know that's
I don't know that we
posted.
want to. I don't know what we said. It's probably a good idea not to listen.
Now we have to listen for sure. That'll be a good time.
I don't think I have anything to add. We've had a busy month.
Well,
We have.
I was going to say, you and I went to breakfast with the board. You want to talk about that?
Oh yeah, we did. Thanks. I had my first breakfast with the board at Mountain View High School just last week with Julie, and that was actually really interesting and really fun. And it was just a meeting with a group of high schoolers from, they were all leadership students, and it was a really interesting time to get together and talk with them about some things they see that are going really well with their school, and some things they like to see improvement in their school, and just kind of in general, like some just talking about life and school and just the future. And there's just, I think that I was so impressed actually with a lot of things. I want to shout out to Mountain View High School and their teachers and their parents and those students. It was really fun. The Wizards, we've had such a busy month. The Wizards game was really fun. The culture parade last week was really, really great. We had amazing weather for that. And Sifton, we have another groundbreaking coming up this weekend.
Saturday.
That is 22.
I'll be there.
The yet to be named school. So, yeah, it's been a good month.
It has been a good month, and we have been busy, and there's a busy month ahead. It's always, I always think it's the best time of the entire school year when we've got lots of things going on and lots of things to celebrate our staff and students, so looking forward to it. Okay. All right, next is future agenda items. Anything that we want to bring forward? Okay. All right, next is citizen comments. So if there's anyone in the audience that would like to address the board, if you will come, I think Elizabeth's going to get the list for me, but if you'll have 3 minutes, if you come to the podium, list your name and address. Remember to keep your comments that they cannot be legal or personnel in nature, and go ahead and just call off the list as they are in the order.
I think it's worth mentioning because these items aren't on the agenda.
Oh, yeah, since these items are not on the agenda, the board can't respond or answer any questions about those, but we'll have somebody follow up with you.
Okay, Lindsay
Valenzuela.
There we go.
Sorry.
Great name.
Kind of tricky.
Yeah, please give us your name and address.
I'm Lindsay Valenzuela. My address is 802 Northeast 108th Avenue, Vancouver, Washington, 98664. I'm a sophomore at Gila High School. And I've been in Evergreen Public Schools since I was in kindergarten, and one thing that I learned was to stand up for what I believe in. And what I believe right now is that the increase in class sizes is going to do anything but benefit the children. I think that with the recent budget cuts, it's been kind of difficult because there's been for the kids, a significant reduction in staff, and that, for me, since I go to Gila, taking away the small, intimate class sizes is going to take away the authenticity that Gila has. Because part of the reason why I didn't go to Mountain View, a school of 1,500 kids, is because I wanted to know my teachers and I wanted to know extra knowledge that isn't on a piece of paper. So I believe that you guys can do whatever you can to make those class sizes smaller again. And we have these specialized programs, we have pathways for public health and bioscience and things like that, and making these classes huge isn't going to create the relationship that kids want with their teachers and teachers want with their students, because I know that you guys are here for your jobs, you're here to save your jobs, keep those, but you want to keep your jobs because you want to teach kids. We do it. I was talking to my Spanish teacher, is Kelsey Benton. I don't know if she's here. She's here, but I don't know if she is. She's right there. And I told her this morning, no quiero tomar español sin tú, which is, I don't want to take Spanish without you. I think that, kids are motivated because of the positive adult figures that they have in their lives, and taking away that or distancing that connection with them is seriously going to impact learning. And I know that for me, it's kind of like, why don't I just go to Mountain View if I'm not going to have these small classes? Gila, we call ourselves a family, and I want to keep it that way. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you.
Bill Bevel, 1004 Northwest 43rd Street. And first I want to thank Mike in recognizing what this means tonight. He recognizes that we're here advocating for each other. I think that was important for you to understand, that we are here because we believe that if we harm any one of us, we harm all of us, and we stand together. We speak with one voice. I also have been directed by my representative council to share this motion with you. The Evergreen Education Association implores that the board not make cuts to classroom jobs. Further, that we use our reserves to cover the gap, and then if we need to, we can pass additional levies if more funding is needed. We feel that the community should always make the call if there are to be any cuts to the classroom by way of the ballot box. That's the end of the motion. But I think I'm also here I just was here at the Legislative Town Hall meeting last week, and I got to hear Annette Cleveland and Monica Stonier and Sharon Wiley speak. And when asked about the cuts to jobs, we were directed to bring this to our school boards. They said that that's where the money is. It's like you need to talk to your school boards. And that's why I'm here. We speak as one voice, as I mentioned before, and one of the things that we do is we communicate, that it feels good that we are opening great channels of communication, that we do talk about things with Mike, with Janae, with Jay, and labor management each month, and we've been able to solve many things, such as the measles, many things that were very difficult. We come together and we come to common ground solutions, and that's because our goals are the same. We all believe that we need to put a caring, professional, talented teacher in front of all of our students. And that's why we're here tonight. I'm glad that Mike already said people, not things. He stole a good piece of this. I was going to say, but that's important to us, that it's people, not things, and not just the people I represent, but of course our other educators, paraeducators, our media assistants, all of the other people that are also employed by the district, people, not things. We feel that it's important that you allow the smaller class sizes. I understand the economics of making classes and these are numbers that we agreed to in open bargaining. But in Evergreen, we've always enjoyed the ability to make smaller class sizes where it makes sense. And I know that you're considering that. I hope you can continue to consider that. Our instructional coaches are essential in goal number 2. If we really want to move forward professional development, we need instructional coaches at each one of our buildings. We look forward to celebrating with you the appreciation of teachers on next Monday when you come and tell us that we're all got our jobs back. That's one way you can show that you appreciate all the hard work done in classrooms, offices, gyms, libraries, all over the district. That's where the good work is being done. One little side story, I was talking to a teacher today, ironically, who helps make nurses out at Gila. And that was a person that's considering being non-renewed. And it's really difficult to talk to a person knowing that if that's one of our goals, to have great school nurses in each one of our schools, that we're going to need to make them somewhere. And that's going to require teachers. And I really just implore you to use every bit of your ability to make sure that we can employ the people that we've already know are fantastic and great. And in this teacher shortage, it's time to do it. They're cheap right now. They're not expensive right now. You can buy them when they're new to the profession, and we can have them forever. And this is just a great decision. It's a great investment. And keeping these people we've already proven are fantastic at their jobs sure makes a lot of sense. So thank you.
Services Seal, and then 2213 Northeast 116th Avenue 684. So I just want to say I'm not good at public speaking at all. So bear with me. But I'm also a junior at Gila, and one thing that has helped me make the decision to go to Gila instead of Union, which is my home high school, is the class size. And the way I was the shy kid in middle school that didn't like any public speaking, any public interaction, nothing. And that's what drew me to Gila, was the class sizes and being able to feel comfortable in my own skin. I don't feel comfortable when I'm allowed to drive to Gila, so I go to Union, and I don't feel comfortable even walking through. Now, it's nothing against Union, I'm just saying that right now, but that's just who it is, and that's just how I am. And one person that has helped me with my confidence is my Spanish teacher, Kelsey Pinton, and she has helped me with my public speaking. She helped me in Spanish. She was my Spanish 2, 3, and she actually encouraged me and pushed me to go into Spanish 4. So next year I'm doing Spanish 4. And she pushed so many of her students to go into Spanish 4 because no one was signing up for it. And not only does she help with Spanish, but she helped me with my NHS speech. So I'm NHS president now, National Anthem. Yeah. She helped me with my speech, and she helped me be able to talk to some people and try to win this position. She helped me with my Key Club speech for Key Club editor. She helped me with just being myself, and not just as a student, but as a person. And that wouldn't have been the same if I went to Union and there were 30 other kids in my classroom. And I was just another student in their classroom. I've never met someone at Gila, and that's the thing, teachers at Gila, they want to follow up. They want to make sure that you're okay, not just as a student, but as a person. They want to follow through with everything you do, and Miss Benton has showed me that that is what is possible, and that she has showed me that you can follow through and you can be a good person as also a teacher. And when she told me that she was not coming back to Gila on Teacher Appreciation Week, so that was cool. But I cried at school, and I was a couple days before my AP test, and I could not study for my AP test. We had Helix and SOAR right after, and I could not study. I did not have the focus. I just stayed in her room and cried. And don't know how I did on my AP test, but I'm confident because Kelsey taught me how to be confident. But the thing is, if you want us to be successful, because Gila, you guys vote Gila to be different, and the teachers at Gila don't just want to be teachers, they want to be teachers at Gila. We are different for a reason. We are project-based learning, and we are standard-based learning, I think that's what it is. But not many teachers want to do that adaptation, like go into that. They just want to teach, but the teachers at Gila actually want to teach us, not just students. And that's why I love Gila, and that's why Miss Kelsey Benton is freaking amazing. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. I've never had such a relationship with a teacher that I can't bear to speak of. So do what you can, but I really just want to say that. Besides that.
Cassidy Norton.
Hi, I'm Cassidy Norton, 5035 Northeast 128th Court, Vancouver, Washington 98682. I am a first-year French student at Heritage High School, and let me just say, it's been amazing. I love my French teacher, Madame Menzing. She's amazing, and like my whole class just was devastated when we heard next year we're going to be getting a new French teacher. We don't know who they are. Our classes are going to be mixed together. Next year, half of my class will be going into a second and third year French class, which not only deprives our needs as students, but it makes it really hard to learn. And like, our class sizes are decreasing. People won't want to sign up, as if we cut more and more, people are not going to be like, oh, here's my French class. They only offer first and second year, because a lot of colleges now are requiring, if you don't take like 3 years of a language in high school, then in college you're going to have to retake your languages, which not only costs money but valuable time. I'm not very good at public speaking, but like if our district wants to be like more diverse, this is kind of like the slow death of our French. If we want to be more diverse, we can't only offer Spanish. More people are going to go into Spanish and be like, oh, they offer all this, and more colleges will want to see me, and yeah, pretty much. So I just ask you that the bigger class sizes don't benefit us. I'm in like 2 classes that have a big amount of students, but most of my classes are small, And I do generally better in those classes because my teachers get to take the time to go to each individual student and be like, hey, what do you need help with? Do you have any questions? And with my bigger classes, they don't have time for that in the short amount of time we are in class. So you just kind of gotta hope that you're doing it right. Thank you.
Sean Thunder?
Gender.
Oh, I didn't butcher it, didn't I?
My name is Sean Gunter. I'm at 2305 Watson Avenue. I don't know how much I want to say. I don't feel very appreciated as an educator, especially this whole school year. I'm a person that lives with anxiety and depression, and knowing the whole year that this is my third year teaching, and my evaluation in May is going to be what I spent the last dozen years of my life. Like, this is make or break if this is going to be, this determines a lot of things. So I've been up to here all school year, and coming in May, well, since March, I guess, knowing that the budget cuts are happening and that people's jobs are on the line, I'm still up here, and knowing I'm very relieved that I do have a job next year. But I'm now up to here because I have a bunch of people in my building that are feeling the exact same way as me. It's really tough to have someone come into your room crying because they're not going to have a job next year. I know that a lot of people are here talking about the kids, and I really care about the kids, and so does everyone I work with. But I care about everyone. Some of the things that come up in teacher appreciation. I'm very grateful that my hard work is recognized, and as a professional educator, I think that my labor should be valued, and I think that it should be recognized. Things that I am not and things that people in this room are not are superheroes, martyrs, line items on a budget. I care about what I do. I'm very passionate about what I do. I'm good at what I do. I do it because I really like it, and I do it because I really care about the kids that I have, the students that I have, your children that I teach, or that I will probably teach, possibly teach. I want you to consider that, it's, even if people get hired back, they don't feel valued by this district because they've already been let go. Doesn't feel good. That's not how you inspire trust. That doesn't. Just consider it. And if possible, I'd like to yield my remaining time to the next attestant.
Jennifer Bradley.
Jennifer Bradley, 9202 Northeast 30th Ave. I'll be honest, I came tonight to show my support for my fellow teachers and also to deliver some letters of support from my staff members to the school board meeting. I didn't actually have any intention of coming up and speaking, but I think it's a testament to the really amazing teachers that we have here in Vancouver, because in two interactions with two of our great teachers, Bethany Herbard and Marge Hogan, they inspired me to use my voice and stand up and speak
And we feel a little like the Lorax. I'm not speaking for the trees. I'm speaking for the teachers who can't be here to speak for themselves. And I've been really moved by all of the comments by all of the previous speakers, students and teachers and community members. And they all spoke about their teachers and the power of their teachers. And I've heard a lot lately this idea that a budget is a moral document. If you want to know what people care about or what an organization cares about, look at their budget and you'll really see where they care and where their priorities are. And I'm also here to ask that you consider, when the last speaker was speaking, I just kept thinking that, we are not numbers to be pushed around. I understand there are a number of realities that have to be pushed around, but we are real people. It's real human lives that are being impacted, students and teachers. And so I hope I came to ask, along with many others, that you will consider the teachers and the students and the real human lives, and when you make your budget decisions and when you decide to dip into the reserves or how much to dip into the reserves. And I think one way to show teacher appreciation is to show those values reflected in your budget and your budget decisions. So thank you for your consideration.
Bethany Rivard.
Bethany Rivard, 2911 Northeast 183rd Court, 98682. I wasn't going to speak tonight either, but I see my daughter's Elsa's teacher out here, and she's a first-year teacher. I was not 10% of the first-year teacher that my daughter's teacher is. I maybe made it that. And my 10th year, I'm at where she's at right now. And I would just be heartbroken if she couldn't come back to Columbia Valley and continue her career there. She centers social and emotional learning. She brings everything to the table every day, as do all of these educators. And I'm sorry, I'm so nervous right now. I agree that a budget is a moral document, and I know you have lots of hard work and hard decisions to make, but consider that teachers are the profession that make other professions possible, really the benchmark of our public education system. And when you're making the final decisions, I hope that my daughter's teacher stays a long, long time. Thank you.
All right, that appears to be everyone that's on the list. So with that, we will go into recess where the board will sign documents. We will reconvene in a board workshop, which will happen right back in this room. We will have a budget development update, legislative updates, another superintendent's update, and we'll do a board meeting debrief. Following that, we'll have an executive session where we will review the performance of a public employee, and then we'll go into a closed session for collective bargaining. Thank you.